So I'm Saadi Kawkji from Aruba Networks, and I'm the SE manager. We'll have a small brief about Aruba and how Aruba helped in mobility for the last few years. So we'll start with a small video, and then I will continue with my presentation.
Back when wireless was just a promise, there was Aruba Networks. As wireless transformed from impractical reality to a practical necessity, there was Aruba. As organizations strive to lift mobile barriers, there was Aruba. There, here, everywhere. Today, that's where you find Aruba. At the nexus of intelligent mobility. Right-sizing networks, empowering employees, engaging customers, liberating businesses to do what has never before been possible. Where you stop being the IT authority and become the IT ally. There is Aruba, where mobile security is not only trusted, but simply a given. There is Aruba, where mobility is a perfectly natural experience. There is Aruba, and where the network engineer becomes the mobility hero. Yes, there is Aruba. We are the mobile generation. We help businesses engage people with exactly what they need, at exactly the right time, no matter what the device, no matter where the location. With the brightest minds and the most intelligent technologies, Aruba is right there. Not just to unplug the last cord, but to untether your possibilities. Aruba Networks. People move. Networks must follow.
So starting and talking about mobility, we would like to identify what is mobility first. So mobility in terms of a name or like a word has been developing through generations. So basically, in the old generations, they were talking about mobility, about cars or something which make us mobile. But these days, it's completely changing, and it's not the case anymore. So mobility these days is all about how to access some kind of information from anywhere. So we started with the old days with desktops, and we were stuck on our desks until we finish whatever work we had. But these days, we started having the laptops, and then we can do some work in the office, and then take it with us homes, and then continue working. So this gave us a bit of mobility. But then smartphones came in, and now we cannot leave them, and we are directly using them at any time, at any location. So the mobility is here in terms of users' mobility, accessing any kind of data at any time from anywhere. So what other things that driven this kind of mobility is the rise of applications. So before also, we were using very limited applications, so which are not designed to be mobile. But these days, we have an app for everything. So even with the smart kind of actions done by governments through developing applications for to address the citizens, now we have also portals, and all of them are being accessed by using mobile phones. So it's the laptops and the desktops are not anymore the main mean of access, but it's people having all these smartphones, smart devices roaming around and having access to the network or to the resources. The growing workforce also has changed. Before, we were having only a bunch of people having this kind of luxury. Now we have this luxury in the hand of everybody, in the hand of children, teenagers, and the workers. So this has been done for over the last few years only. One thing that we address in mobility, which is normally the case, that when you access some applications, but we don't address the other way around, which is we are not only accessing applications. What about these applications accessing us? What about these governments accessing us in terms of notifications, for example? In terms of if I am in a certain space or certain location, why I don't get a message from the government? because I have the government application. So the mobility should offer us a two-way of communication, not only a single way. So normally we do download. We just download and exchange information through social media or through any kind of applications with others. But it's not designed yet, or like people are not using it yet to communicate in terms of I am the boss and I am communicating with you. I am the government and I am connecting to the citizens or to the residents. So I am offering them this kind of timing for doing something, electricity bills or whatever. This can all be communicated through applications. And here is the next phase of mobility when it comes in. So the mobility also is not only for citizens. It's not only for residents. It's also for a lot of users who may be considered or classified in a different way. So starting with VIPs. So VIPs are sitting in their offices, in the ministries or in the government area or locations. And they want to access the network infrastructure, they want to access the internet, and they want to access the local resources. So these are a part of the employees. And then you have the employees with government-owned devices, which is offered by the government directly to them. Or when it comes to BYOD, when we have people getting their own devices. So we have to differentiate between these guys. Why? Because if I use the same kind of policy to apply it on a government-owned device in the ministry, which is accessing almost everything in the network, I cannot apply the same security if somebody is bringing his own iPad or his own iPhone and accessing the network. So there should be a mechanism to identify what is a personal device and what is a company-owned or government-owned device, and give them access in a different way. Other thing is that in a lot of locations, we still have this kind of bureaucracy, right? So you always have to have these residents or visitors going to some offices to finalize stuff. Even if we go more and more into computing and cloud computing, we'll always still have people who have to go over there to sign or to do something. So what about giving these visitors to our offices some kind of internet access while waiting their turn, while in queues, right? So we have to have a different policy also applied on these people. We may have different kind of applications like advertisements. So when they come in, they can just watch a kind of advertisement, maybe government related or non-government related, and gives them then access 1 hour for free to internet with limited bandwidth, of course, based on the applications that they are using, and then get them forced to watch some kind of like advertisement for 30 seconds and then get the 1 hour free. So this kind of technology is enabling people of accessing this kind of data at any time, but also it's enabling us to identify their locations. So the apps or portals are available on the internet. So basically, because they are available on the internet and they are being accessed from anywhere, or they can be accessed from anywhere, then we have two options to access. One, which is through the networks, wireless or wired. The second point is through mobile GSM providers like 3G, LTE, and so on. Now, the 3G and LTE are a little bit are good in terms of mobility because they can offer you the service at any time, but they are not that good in terms of features because they are not feature rich. So basically, if you are in a building, in a governmental building, a user who is connected to the phone through LTE or 3G, the location of this user cannot be identified. So we know that he is there around, but we don't know in which floor he is, in which corner he is. So basically, if he is connected through Wi-Fi, I will be able to identify more and more about his personality, who is he, and I can identify him as well. So I can identify people, I can identify their locations and how they are accessing. So they should be, we can do a mechanism to register all these users by integrating with the identity stores that you have, for example, when it comes to your databases where you have all citizen IDs. So while during the registration phase, which can be one-time registration, and he can access all ministries, all offices around Kuwait. What we can do here, we register this user by identifying, by matching the citizen ID plus a password or whatever that we can create. And then you have a single identity to access whatever data these people can access, and whatever you provide them with access. So by identifying the location of these users and their access and what applications they are using, we can send them different kind of notifications based on this. So if somebody is in the wrong floor trying to access an application or trying to access some tenants, so we can just send him a notification that you are in the wrong location and you have to move. But with the GSM kind of infrastructure, we cannot do that. So with Wi-Fi, there is a lot of challenges. So one of these challenges is how to offer a secure Wi-Fi and stable, secure, and simple Wi-Fi to be accessed from anywhere with the high density which is required based on the locations. So you may have some locations where you don't have too many people, but maybe you will go to a different location where it's a public area or a big hall for waiting, where you have a high density of users, where you have to give a stable kind of connectivity. So the second thing which is very important is the security. So security is very important for us and very important for governments as well, because they don't want the information or whatever the user is exchanging to be exposed, right? So we offer the best mechanisms to secure this kind of connectivity while being at any location, providing that we have the wireless coverage. The third thing is how to provide a simple kind of access. So how, if somebody is logged in on an application, he can move to different applications without re-entering credentials. So this is provided through SSO, so single sign-on with a single identity store, and then the people can move between different applications on the same infrastructure. And the last one is how to provide a smart kind of application or infrastructure. So this smartness is coming from how I can change or how I can change the policy based on who is the user and at what time he is accessing and what device he is using. So if the user is an employee using his mobile device, a personal mobile device, and accessing Facebook, I can just limit his access to a 512 KB or 1 MB. But if he is using an application which is related to the government itself, so he's trying to do his job, then I should give him higher kind of access. So I can differentiate here between what he is accessing and giving him a different kind of policy based on this access and based on the device and based on the user. So if a guest just coming there to pay something or to just wait or to present an application form, I can give him a limited internet access with a total bandwidth of something, by also prohibiting peer-to-peer networking and all stuff which will squeeze my network and will use my uplinks. So the use cases that we have here is that we identify the user as a user, and then with the device that he is using, so we can identify if he is using an iPhone, an iPad, smart device, any kind of smart devices. And we can say that, for example, if there's some kind of security problems with some kind of versions, like version, iOS version 5 or version 6. So it's not reliable. I don't want anybody who is using that OS to just access my network. So I can prohibit based on the device type, the OS type, even the model, if it is also from some providers. So I can say Samsung devices cannot access, while HTC can access HTCs, and so on. Also, what I can do is based on the location and based on the time. So I can say people can, or like whoever is coming to do some queries, they can access the internet only between 8 o'clock in the morning and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But after that, they cannot access at all. So you can limit the access based on the time. And we can limit the access based on the location. So if the user or like the visitor is coming to the lobby where there is the queues and people are waiting. And if he moves to a different floor, then we have the ability of not granting him the same access that he was getting when he was on a different floor. So we are providing this mobility without breaking any kind of security. So how we do this and how we perform this by using our clear path management. So with this clear path management that we have, we are able to identify these users and these devices and also the applications that they are using. So for example, if I am coming for a meeting, I can connect to the Wi-Fi without accessing internet, without accessing anything. I will just be able to connect to the projector to do a presentation. Or if I am now trying to mess with the network, so I'm trying to hack the network, so I will be able to identify this through our deep packet inspection, and I can blacklist that user, so I will not give him access to the network again, and I will fire him from the network. I will disconnect him from wireless. Also, I can do some quarantine, or I can redirect him to a certain page where I can push him a message saying that you are doing so and so, so you are prohibited from accessing the network. So another kind of mobility which is required is for classified information. Now, these days, everybody is still scared, so we don't share classified information in terms of government. I'm not talking about normal kind of secured information. Here we are talking about real classified government information. So nobody is providing the ability of the mobility or like presenting the mobility for this kind of access. So with Aruba, we are able to, we have the solution to provide the highest encryption levels possible, commercially available. Of course, this is coming with a lot of approvals, and then we are enabling something called sweet B cryptography to enable the highest end of encryption, which is being used now in US and many other locations to secure the data which is classified. So classified information over the network, over the internet. So we are doing this through our VPN clients and controllers by providing secure access using elliptic curve cryptography instead of the normal RSA information encryption. And then we have also the standards and the certification for FIPS, which is the Federal Information Processing Standards, to enable the high-speed encryption on the 11AC networks as well. The last thing that I will address here is the location tracking and the location analytics and the push notifications, where you are trying to do the other way around of mobility. So I have now people, I want to send them messages. So how this can be done? So we can do this directly once we have an application which is reliable. We have the ability of implementing or integrating with the local maps. So if somebody is lost in a building and he wants to reach some kind of tenant or some kind of officer, so the only thing that he needs to do is to search for him in his mobile app and identify his location and move to him directly. So we can also enable or disable the presence of these users on the map. So if the officer is also away, you can also understand that this user is away, and then he will be coming after some while. And also for somebody who is waiting in a specific location, or to address or to communicate with people during big events, big government events. So this is also the best way to communicate with these users, because depending on their classifications, so if they are male, female, their age, their nationality, you can send them different kind of messages. So if I have a big event with a lot of, I don't know, Filipinos, Indians, Lebanese, Jordanians, and so on, and you want to give different messages or in different languages, right, to all these people, because these people are already registered and we know what languages they speak, we can just push to them the notifications which are required. So this is a very good way to apply for emergency cases as well. And we have also this enabled when for new kind of cases, like the flying kind of helicopters to save people's life, like ambulance helicopters or quadcopters, where you can call from your mobile, the application can send the location of that user, and they can send him a helicopter with, for the heart attack shocks or like shocking device to help these users. Also, for any kind of emergency, you don't need to identify the location of the user. You can directly get the location of that user through the application. So it's a full way of communication between government and users, which can be applied using our technology. Thank you very much.